Good evening, folks. Welcome to Variety Sports Network. This is football from across the pond, and we're all aboard the Brock Express. Well, when I say we're all aboard the Brock Express, I'm kind of just talking about me and Doug. The rest of you may be kind of just sitting there thinking you're mad. But obviously, it's been a bit of a roller coaster week for my team and for Doug's team, and a bit of a roller coaster week in the NFL in general. Johnny, I want to start with you and your game with the Giants and going for the tie. What?
Well, yeah, they went for the punt, but then one step back and Thibodeau had a safety with that sack. You know what I mean? It was he almost somehow managed to win it with that tackle. You know what I mean? And he could have fumbled it as well. It's quite a good hit, and he had a good game. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe after Dallas is not getting it 4th and 3, they weren't going to get 4th and any longer. So it's more of a position thing, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's the way it goes, Ken. It was a bit of a roller coaster of emotions, that game.
Just a little bit. And the joy of that is obviously that tie is probably no doubt going to play in later on in a couple of weeks when it all starts to shake out in terms of positioning and potential wild cards and everything else. It's just like you never make things easy, do you?
No, well, the thing is, obviously, we'll probably get beat against the Eagles this week, and then we'll drop out the picture, and Washington will drop in because they've got a better division record. I think they've won one game, we've not won any. So
we'll have you got the play boy today.
Then we'll play them again the week after in Washington. So that's a big game. So, but yeah, the Giants played not bad. You know what I mean? Washington started well, and the Giants took over for it, and then that crazy touchdown by Dotson where he just spun around in
spun out three of your left all your defense standing there going, where did he go? I mean, good news. Plus point, I suppose, for your season is Barkley's. He's broke 1,000 yards. I think first time in a couple of years, isn't he? So he's back in the 1,000 yards a season sort of club, which is kind of what you need. You got to lean on him, haven't you? So the fact he's broken that barrier and he's back in the club as such, hopefully bodes well for next year.
And you got Bellinger back on the field as well. He had a couple of nice catches as well, so it's good to get him because they've missed him because he's been a good safety blanket for Jones. Getting early on in the season, so it's good to have him back in the field. And Jones had he did fumble, but it was a nice challenge. But apart from that, he had a pretty good game. So there's something to look forward to. Obviously, you're going to have to go into Washington and deal with that crowd, but you never know.
Never know. I mean, if you silence that crowd, if you get in early and silence that crowd, it can be kind of hostile for the Commanders rather than actually the visiting team. I think I found that sort of that Heinz, well, whatever it's called now, it's not called Heinz Field, it's whatever. It can turn quite quickly onto the Commanders' FedEx Field or whatever it's called.
You start well, but no, it's like I say. Like I honestly thought we were going to lose, so again, getting a tie is better than nothing, I suppose. But especially the way it started.
Keeping that optimism, keeping your that level of optimism nice and high that you have all season, where you expect it to be at 4 wins or whatever it is. It doesn't matter when a tie, even a tie, you're like, oh, come on, Johnny, come on.
Yeah, well, maybe this week with your Mr. Irrelevant as quarterback, you might be happy with a tie. So okay.
I tell you. We'll get to that.
That was a crazy game, that one.
That was a mad game. We'll get to that one, definitely. Great.
Then,
how are you feeling going into your
so was the game above. So.
Yes, going to this one, the game above. I mean, yes, great. You've owned the Bears again, as you said.
Aaron Rodgers owns the Chicago Bears. I think that's set in stone now. Yeah, it was a win. It was a good, they done okay, they done well. I'm a bit disappointed because we might see Rodgers after the bye week now, It's not mathematically impossible. It's one of those, I mean, he can't get in now. Could we win the last 5 games? Sure, of course we could. We're away to Miami. We've got Miami to do, but other than Miami, we've got Detroit, we've got Minnesota, obviously, and someone else who's very beatable who I can't remember now.
Is it the Giants? No, I'm sure it's not.
Remember?
That's right, complete.
But of course we could win out. But even if we won out, 9-8 is not going to get in anyway. I don't think. Even we've lost to the kind of 9 and that tie with Washington and New York. That's going to hurt us as well when you get to that kind of stage, because that tie could be crucial.
Yeah, it could be one of those. It's the Giants playing the long game just to knock out the Packers.
I'll not laugh too loud, Craig, if that tie with Washington means Washington knocks out the playoff.
Well, do you know, if it does, it does. You know,
or if the Giants did, but yeah.
It might actually be Washington as the other team we've got to play. Have we played them yet? I can't remember. Anyway, if we get in, we sneak in. I think they did beat us actually. Yeah.
But did we not beat them in the last minute? I can't mind on.
It's if we get in, we sneak in, but we're not going to get in. It's it gives a little bit of hope. And see, heading into the bye week, the last thing you want is a little bit of hope heading into the bye week. So
you actually wanted to be done and dusted, didn't you? And kind of right, okay, we've got 4 weeks. Let's throw in the rookie, throw in Jordan Love, see what he's got. Get ready for next year, as you say, because you've just got a little bit of chance now. It's like, is Rodgers going to still hang around? Are you going to, bite the bullet?
2 weeks to think about it now as well. It's
the Commanders beat you in week 7, 23-21, Craig.
Was it week 7? Was it? I knew it was a close. I remember it being a close one too. But I mean, it's all about next year now for us, and I think it's going to be the last year of Aaron Rodgers. I really do. I do think he's going to come back. I don't think he's going to leave $60 million on the table. I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. And the problem, as I've always said, the Packers, the contract that they'll sign them on, it's his decision, not ours. It's up to him.
It's definitely not a team-friendly sort of contract, is it at all?
No. It's if he wants to come back and play, if he wants to come back, we won't bench him. There's no way we'll bench him. So I think it will be one last hurrah with Aaron Rodgers. Sign Jordan Love up on his 5th-year option, and it's his team from the year after. I think that's how it's going to go. However good Jordan Love or bad Jordan Love may be, however good Aaron Rodgers may be next year, I think that's the future.
Yeah,
Craig, you play the Rams after the bye week, then you play Miami.
The Rams, that's right. It's the Rams that we've got, which is another kind of, you shouldn't lose.
Baker Mayfield.
Well, I don't know. Could be Baker Mayfield's debut. You never know.
Oh, that would be funny.
Oh, I'd love it. In a weird way, I'd love it. But you can never see it coming. I mean, the Rams are just shocking, aren't they? Absolutely shocking. And then, Doug, how was our weekend? I mean, great win at home. Great win.
Yeah, fantastic win. I mean, big news in the last half an hour is that Jimmy G his season is not over. It is not a Liz Frank injury. If the rehab goes smoothly, he could return in 7 to 8 weeks. So,
which is NFC Championship.
We need to go.
We've already done the math.
Yeah. NFC Championship. Having said that, if Mr. Irrelevant gets us to the NFC Championship, do you bench him? It'll be a good.
You can't get rid of BCB
decision to have to make. BCB, that's trending on Twitter tonight as well.
The Eagles will have to make that decision. What's it called?
Yeah. But Brock came in and he looked good. He did everything that was asked of him. He looked like he's faced some blitzes before. He managed to make the deliveries under pressure. He was trusted to throw the ball in 3rd and short, and he connected. It was pretty decent. But now teams get some tape on him, etc. We'll see what comes next week and the week after. But yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster this season, to say the least.
That's it. I mean, we were looking in a position, we were sitting pretty on top of the NFC West. Everything looked to be rosy, pushing into these couple of games. We had the Seahawks, that Thursday night game in 2 weeks, which kind of would have been the rubber stamping of that's us done. That's our playoff kind of rubber stamp and booked. And now, obviously, it's like, who knows? But as you say, Brock came in, and I think he drew a lot of surprise from a lot of players, a lot of fans who hadn't seen him play. But he balled out at Iowa State for 4 years. He walked in as a off the boat first year, took the starting job at Iowa State, and stayed in as a starter for 4 years. So he's actually played more regularly and better football than Trey has in the last few years. So it's not like it's a complete surprise if anybody has seen the college game. But I think he made, as you say, he made some great throws under pressure. Some of the throws when he was getting blitzed in the face and he hit Kittle or he hit Debo across the middle were great throws and great pickups from a rookie. But as you say, he's now got the teams now have a week to play with that sort of where the weaknesses are, get the game tape on him. But also, I suppose, in comparison, he's now got a week to practice with the first team, which he's never had. So, it could be a 50-50. And let's be honest, the Buccaneers coming to town stink. They got a win against the Saints, but the Saints stink as well. So,
absolutely.
I can't see the Buccaneers giving us too many points and too many problems.
I think the Bucs almost got as many yards in the last 5 minutes as did the rest of the game.
Yeah. The great thing is, though, we do, particularly now we've got CMC, we've got, him, Debo, Kittle, those guys make plays. You can just get the ball in their hands and they will turn 2 and 3 yards into 10, etc. So, if any team can withstand it, it might be us.
Well, I mean, as you say, we've got an embarrassment of riches on the offensive side. As you say, Ayuk, Jennings is coming good. You got CMC, Kittle, Mason looked like he's got the explosive out in the backfield. He looked like a good pickup. And then it's an age-old adage. Everyone says it. Defense wins championships, and we've got the number one defense, number one scoring, number one, etc., etc. And as you saw in the game against Miami, yes, there were 2 chunk big plays, missed coverages. Gibson took the wrong angle.
One was crazy, like.
There's a bad angle from Gibson. He totally chased down wrong, and then half snapped too early on the in route, which freed up. The one person you don't free up going deep is Tyreek Hill. I mean, that was like one of those brain fade moments. But from an offense that's been ripping teams apart for only really 2 big plays, and that was it. I think they scored 34 yards rushing in total for both Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr., which, considering they came in saying they're going to run all over us, they kind of got shut down. They had to throw it. And, we shut that down as well. They, 17 points against, from that team, that's pretty good going. From, most defenses have struggled to hold them in. So, and they didn't get in the red zone. I think they got in the red zone once with a field goal, and that was kind of it. Weirdly enough, was a comfortable win, even though we had the backup in.
Yeah, it really was. And if you look at, Bosa's obviously Bosa. If he should be Defensive Player of the Year, I think. But if it's Greenlaw and Warner, their coverage, their pass coverage, Warner's tracking Tyreek Hill at times. Greenlaw's getting across the field. They are on song. So defense wins championships. Hey, Craig.
That's what they say. And I saw one of those stats things where it showed Tua's sort of point where he tried to throw the ball, and for most of the season he's been throwing 7 to 15 yards, slightly right of center, and it was just empty against the 49ers, and everyone just put a big circle around it, went Fred Warner. This area, and it just did not throw there. He was shut out from that area. And, as you say, he's just been on fire. I think the big thing for the Niners was Armstead being back. I think he shored up the middle of that defensive line so much better, which then allowed Bosa to get the 3 sacks and the strip and everything else because Armstead was in the middle, stuffing it in the middle. It's the kind of player that he is. He doesn't get the attention. He doesn't get the big numbers. He doesn't get all the fancy, flashy, Defensive Player of the Year shouts. But him just being back in that middle of that D line just made a huge difference to everybody else.
Defense wins
championship. He's the one that they paid. They let Buckner go. Armstead was the one that people thought, maybe he should be the one that left. But no, the coaching staff knew what they were doing there, I think.
Seems so. And as you say, if we can lean on that defense, get a couple of the yak guys to, do the screens, do the little dinky dunk passes and whatever else, then we're definitely in with a shout. We're already in playoff contention. I think a couple of wins and that will be rubber stamped. And then who knows, Kyle's got enough time now to scheme. Carl's got enough chances now. He knows what Purdy's like. Carl seems to be, pretty confident with him. As you say, he's balled out of college.
Loves him.
He knows what he's getting. and Kyle, he's not that dissimilar to Jimmy. He's, as in Brock, he knows what he's going to get from him, so he can scheme it in such a way that he doesn't put him into pressure situations or situations that you need to rely on him to win the game for you. So there's no better coach that should be able to do that.
Yeah. For me, with the 49ers, it's I like the downplay, but you're in the playoffs. That's set in stone now. It's going to happen. The NFC is that poor that it's coming down to the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Eagles. Now, one of those teams, one's going to obviously have to play the other two, but one of them's only going to have to play one. And I think if the team who only has to play one of them wins that game, they're going to the Super Bowl. And it is down to that. I just do not see anyone else in the NFC challenging those three teams at all. I think the Niners defense is far too solid. My worry for the 49ers is if it's the Chiefs again, Patrick Mahomes finds a way. And if he does find a way to score points, can your offense reply with the quarterback that you will have, even if it is Jimmy G, because he's coming back from being hurt as well. That's where I think the Niners
even Josh Allen or even Joe Burrow, the way he's playing, all three of them will give the defense a tough one. And their defenses are pretty good as well. If you're playing a backup quarterback. So it's
the issue. The issue is our defense is great, and as good as our defense is, if they're on the field a lot more now, because we're doing a few more 3-and-outs, or we're not sustaining so many drives because we've got Brock in. Will that have that detrimental knock-on effect that the defense gets a bit more tired, is on the field a bit longer, starts to kind of suffer injuries, niggles, whatever else, because they're out there a little more. It's who knows what. Yeah, can we get down the field? Can we get the guys into a position where we can get points without having to take big risks? Because the last thing we need to be doing is lobbing the ball up. Even I know that the interception that Purdy threw was like a 4th and 4, and it ended up being just like a shortish punt in the end, because we were going to punt anyway, so it didn't really matter. But even that, there was a chance for him to make that throw if he put a bit more on it and put it to the outside shoulder. He kind of left it on the inside, and it's just little things like that if he has to make a specific type of throw, can he? Will he? And will the defense have to play more at a level that we've come to expect them to do, but will that level be sustainable if they're playing twice as long, for example, if they're on the field twice as much now? And that's the issue.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a playoff issue. It's a playoff issue now. The 49ers are going to be in, even if it's not as division winners, and I can't see how Seattle do come back and win it, even with with Walker's hurt as well now, so I just can't see how Seattle can come back and win that division. I think it's the Niners division, but even in second,
I don't think they can, because we're 4-0 in the division, so I don't think we can be overtaken by a divisional rival.
Okay,
unless you lose a couple of games. So
divisions in the bag. So it's all about the playoffs now. It's all about getting ready for the playoffs. If I were Shanahan, I would be wrapping CMC up in cotton wool right now.
Yeah,
Gary.
And that was the worry from this week when Jimmy went down.
If you lose to Seattle and you lose one more game, you will lose the division if Seattle win out. So again, you're only one game ahead. You have the tiebreaker. Yeah, but this year in the NFL.
True, but as Craig says,
it's not mathematically impossible.
But potentially, I think Walker being out for the is he out, or is he? I think I heard he's just jammed his ankle, so it's not a sprain. It's not.
I think he's just jammed. Yeah.
Well, then he's not run that.
He'll be
for
back.
the last couple of weeks anyway. So.
And they couldn't run against us in week 2, whatever it was, I think it was 27-7, and the only reason they got 7 was because of a muffed field goal or a blocked punt or something. So, they couldn't do anything in week 2. Yes, they've had a few more weeks, but hopefully we can stuff that run and, close that division out. As I say, that Thursday night game then becomes quite key, because if we beat Seattle, then that does close the division, clinches it as a division. Yeah. Then, as you say, Craig, it's who gets to be 3rd seed in the NFC, because that 3rd seed is the tricky one, because you then get to play the other guys twice. You've got to go through the whole lot. If we can get to a number 2 seed and get that, hang on, the 2 seed get a bye? No, it's only the 1
No,
seed. Right?
no, just the 1 seed.
Just so.
No, just
and
the
I
one.
mean,
Minnesota look like even if Minnesota beat you to the number 2 seed, though, it's not going to be Dallas. It's avoiding Dallas. It's a thing. Playing Minnesota is not going to be a difficult game, even if it's massively. In Minnesota.
Even if it's in Minnesota, it's that Dallas defense you want to avoid because that is nasty. That looks. Yeah.
That avoid Dallas. Whoever out of the Niners and the Eagles avoids Dallas gets that one game where it's not as difficult as well. So they kind of, if the Niners can get that, then they're looking. As I say, the only problem I can see the Niners having is if one offense finds a way to score on that defense, can the offense keep up?
Yeah, totally agree. The Seahawks have still to go to the Chiefs.
Okay, so they're not coming. They're not coming on the back anytime.
And that's going off at Arrowhead, so they have to travel to Arrowhead. I mean, we had the Chiefs at Arrowhead.
Yeah, they're going. Yeah, they're going to Arrowhead after they've got us on the Thursday night game. That's week 17. So they've got us week 16, Chiefs week. No, sorry.
Is that short?
A week earlier than that. They've got the Chiefs week 16. They've got the Jets week 17, and they've got the Rams week 18.
And the Jets.
So the Jets aren't straightforward, although it's
at home in week 18.
Yeah.
So.
They've got the Rams week 18, but we've got the Cardinals. We should be fine for the division.
Should be fine. That week 18 game will be I'd say it would be, hey, start Brock, but I had that penciled in as a Brock Purdy will start that game because everything will be done and dusted. But now here we are.
Josh Johnson
starting. Yeah. Start our backup. That's maybe I picked him back up again. Yeah.
Joking aside there, with Purdy as well, you don't want to be giving him holding on to the ball too long. You don't want him to be doing any stupid runs up the middle like Trey Lance did to get injured. He has to be kind of wrapped up in cotton wool a little bit until Jimmy's back as well. Because if he's not,
I mean, he's not a running quarterback. He's not a big guy. You see him in the pictures. He's only 5'10", 5'11", so he's not going to be doing.
He's a slinger
or anything like that. He's going to be in there. 2-3 seconds out, done. Dump it off to TMC, dump it off to Kittle on the short flats and whatever else, and use those yak guys to kind of drag us along. And as you say, lean on the defense. And although I think once Mason outran the whole of the Miami run game in the runs that he had, he looks explosive. He looks like he's got that first step, which Kyle likes from his running back. So we're going to have to see a lot more of him, as you say, because I don't want to be reliant on CMC in a run game because if that knee's already causing irritation as it was last week, the last thing you want to be doing is giving him 20 carries or something. I think he ended up at near enough 17, 18 carries, 10 receptions in the last game. Yes, we lent on him obviously when Jimmy went down, but we can't do that consistently because that knee irritation will suddenly turn into something worse. So we need to rely on Mason. We need to get TDP up to speed, padded up and hitting people. And then that will free up those, and they'll get us those 3-4 yards twice, in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 is a lot more manageable than 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 with a rookie, Mr. Irrelevant, blah, 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 all the story. The weird thing is the story is almost writing itself for the fairy tale ending, isn't it? But let's not look too far down the line just yet. He says, looking at the Super Bowl and trying to work out how we can get to Arizona.
Yeah I know.
That's what I like. That's what I like to see. I like to hear the 49ers getting a wee bit excited about it. It'll make it all the better when it comes crashing down.
When it comes falling around our ears. Yeah. Speaking of falling around your ears, how do we
hope the kills you
picking up Baker Mayfield?
I have had 10 years of it, so it's nice to see it flip the other way.
You're going to have 10 more years of it when you're scrabbling around the bottom of the NFC North, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but the one I've any hopes to start with, just again, it's going to be crap.
That's true. He's only got Watson as their lone hope, who's a good, decent running back. Not so great in the reception, but decent running back.
6 touchdowns now in 3 games or something. 7 touchdowns.
Two of them are rushing though. Yeah, I was going to say 2 of them are rushing touchdowns. So let's not get too carried away there. He's killing.
He can juggle them in for all I care as long as they're going in.
Fumble recovery them into the end zone like Treylon Burks, right? That's okay.
He's keeping Rodgers on a job.
And is that a good or a bad thing?
So keep Rodgers.
That's a bad thing, I think.
No, that's fine. I mean, the Packers are gone, in general.
Glad to hear it.
This year. So, I mean, I was just saying, just before the Jimmy news broke, Doug, the Rams picked up Mayfield off the waivers, and I know there's a lot of rumbles that the Niners should kick the tires on him. I was one for just like, don't go anywhere near him. Bosa hates him. CMC just left the Panthers to get away from him. Why on earth would we bring him over?
Yeah,
fortunately enough, the Rams bit either on the bait from the 49ers or whatever else. I mean, yes, the Rams needed a quarterback anyway, so he was probably never going to reach us on the waiver wire. But I mean, from the Rams' perspective, is it a last Hail Mary? But their season's done already. Why go out and spend, is it $1.5 million, $1.6 million, 1.6 or something on him? Just in a rental for
1.3,
5 games?
Yeah, 1.3. Sure.
Well,
but yeah,
could you argue they've done it just in case the Niners wanted them and the rivalry and whatever else? I don't know.
Well, it's before we start talking about the subject, I think it is only fair that we let the viewers know that we have sent the police round to Sam's house. He is safe and well. There is no problem.
We have checked in.
We have checked in, and he's not done anything silly just yet. So just to put you all at ease. But anyway, Baker Mayfield.
Poor Sam.
Poor old Sam. It's not been the best of years for the Rams running it back this year, has it?
He had a good one last year.
They've got a ring.
Mm.
This team's a Super Bowl champion, so they can't argue with that too much.
They come in circles. But yeah, I mean, Baker, it's one of those funky ones, isn't it? I think you're right, Gary. I think the Rams genuinely bit. I don't think they wanted him. I think they just didn't want the 49ers to get him and maybe help them out. So they took the bait and the bit, and now they've got a third quarterback. But at least they've got a quarterback who's playing for a contract.
He's got a quarterback who's played, right?
Sam Darnold.
He's lost the job to PJ Walker.
Yeah, but then he lost it to Sam Darnold. So yeah,
it's a funny
There's
one.
Nothing to suggest he's about to ball out again.
No.
The damn thing is, though, when he came in for Walker, he actually had a good half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he threw like 3 touchdowns or whatever. Then he got dropped again the next week. Then Darnold came in, rolled over for a touchdown.
It's an odd one.
Roly-poly in there.
So much was expected from Baker Mayfield. I mean, if you remember back to when he was, he was the number 1 pick that whole season beforehand. It was, the Browns tanked for Baker Mayfield. That's what they did. That's how much they.
He was the Messiah. He was the Messiah. He got a winning season. Yeah, they were awful, but they were getting lots of picks that year. But he was the savior of Cleveland, wasn't he? He won them a couple of games. He suddenly he
got them
unlocked the beer fridge. He got them into the playoffs. It was,
but
he was it.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
What did he really do, though? I mean, they did have some pieces around him as well. They had a no bad defense. What did he really do?
Hunt and Chubb.
If you look at it in a fantasy perspective, and I know the game's not fantasy, and I know it's not played, but I mean, he was never a top scorer in fantasy, never, ever, ever. And if you're not a top scorer in fantasy, you're not scoring that many. Other people are doing it for you. Yeah. Chubb's been there for most of it. They got Hunt in, so they had a really good backfield for him.
And didn't have a bad receiver.
Yeah, it's.
So
OBJ he had Landry there. He had the weapons, and it's one of those ones he just wasn't good enough. And I don't know what because so much is thought it was such a good quarterback coming in. I think just some people don't quite have what it takes to make it.
I think it's easy to see. I mean, I've watched a fair bit of college football and stuff. It's easy to see good college quarterbacks, and you think, oh, he's a good quarterback, whatever else, but. There's a massive, massive difference between the college game.
Well, they get a lot. They get a lot of time in college to throw the ball.
Much,
stand there for about a minute without anybody near them.
They can run around. If they get a good offensive line in front of them, they can take all day to pick apart defenses. And also the defenses, and they're getting hit by guys the same size and the same age as them.
Yeah.
When you get to the NFL, they're getting hit by guys 6 or 7 years older, 300, maybe 100 pounds heavier, been around, grizzled, and whatever else, and know the ins and outs of the game. It's a massive shock. And maybe, he did get pummeled in that first 2 seasons at the Browns because they didn't have an offensive line to speak of, and he was sacked. However, did it just eventually just take a toll on his body? I know one year he was playing with broken everything at some point, wasn't he? So it could be that, it could be a bit of that, and then it could be, was the coaching quite right? And as you say, now it's 6 years down the road or whatever it is, and he's one last hurrah with 5 games to go at the Rams, who are already in a dire situation as it is, worst record in Super Bowl history of returning Super Bowl champions. So it's not like either of them have anything to lose by balling out or slinging it around in the next 4 weeks, because everything's done and dusted.
It's for me, it's one of those. I mean, is this the last hurrah for him? Do we think no more Baker Mayfield? Do you think anyone's going to take a chance on him next year? I'm not sure. I can't see it. I can't see that. I can see there's better free agencies available than him. Right? When you start looking down the list and you go, well, okay, look, Jimmy comes back with his foot injury. He's on the free agency market. He's going to be probably pretty high on the free agent market there. And then you got Matt Ryan, who's going to be floating around and all that. And you think, where does Baker fit in? Is there a spot for him? I can't see a starting spot for him. No, that's it's going to be a case of, if he wants to continue his career, I think he's going to need to be a backup. It's looking that way.
And is he a backup kind of mentality guy? I don't think so.
No, I'm not convinced.
I think that's why
he got out of Cleveland. He got out. He's left now the Panthers because he doesn't want to sit on the bench. He's certainly not going to win the Rams starting job next year if Stafford comes back, is he? I mean, there's no chance of that. So
no, it's Stafford's job.
But then, of course, if Stafford does retire, then
he's in it again, and then he's in for another QB battle of come and win the job, which he's not proven he could do against mediocre competition in Carolina. It'd be interesting to see. Flipping over to the AFC, we may as well talk about the best side of it. The Bills had a good week, didn't they? They kind of won on Thursday, and then the Dolphins losing, and then the Chiefs losing. They're suddenly back in the number 1 spot again. Which that's bizarre, because I know, like, when they did have their wobble blip, whatever you want to call it, they suddenly fell off down, and everyone was thinking, well, the Bills are done, and now they're back in the number 1 spot. That side of the division is, that side of that conference is just brutal at the moment, isn't it? I'm glad it's on the other side.
I think that number 1 spot will be crucial. I mean, that number 1 spot over there and getting that bye week and avoiding that week, I think that's going to be absolutely massive. Between looks like it's probably between Buffalo and Kansas, but I think whoever nails that's got a big leg up on the other one.
Yeah. And, my sneaky dark horse that I thought was going to be a team that would make a bit of a run. And the Ravens look like they're done and dusted now with Lamar not going out, but he's certainly not the Lamar of old, is he? I mean, they 9-10 against the Broncos or something, wasn't it?
It was a win, though, that's the thing.
It was a win with a backup quarterback and whatever else. But
but Huntley played well last year, so he'll be okay. They'll play his strength, and he did not bad last year when he came in for.
I mean, it's the same type. They don't have to change too much, do they? Exactly. So.
No, he actually threw the ball better to Andrews last year than Lamar did. So.
What was that, Doug?
The team though that are really just starting to cook again are the Bengals, and they've done really well to dig out from where they were, and beating the Chiefs at the minute is a big thing. Burrow is cooking, and Chase is back. No one will want to face them.
No, not now. Chase is back. I think Chase being back adds that dimension back to the Bengals, where you've got to be you're split between they can take the roof off of your defense, so you've got to watch out for Chase, which then spreads you out.
The Bengals have got the Browns this week, and obviously the Browns manhandled them a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, so they do seem to have the number a bit. So,
but the Browns offense
that'll be all right. So.
Browns offense did absolutely bugger all against the Texans, which is
but the defense,
the worst. Defense and special teams, of course, they didn't need to. But was it a case that Watson looked horrible, old, rusty, tired?
He looked slow, like he did.
He did. I remember him when he was in his prime at the
Houston. Eli Manning looked faster than that.
He looked like he needed a massage to me.
There it is. I knew somebody was going to say it. If anyone's going to say it, it had to be you, Craig. We all thought it, but at least you said it.
Yeah. Over in the AFC, for me, it's getting in. It's a big thing. I think anyone who gets in could end up being in the Super Bowl. It is that good over there. There are going to be teams who don't get in the AFC who you wouldn't have been surprised if they were in the NFC getting to the Super Bowl. You know, it's all about getting in over there. If the Ravens hang about and get in and they could do some damage, you know. The Steelers are another one, you know, they're just hanging about on the 6 wins, 5 wins, 6 wins, can still maybe make a wee go at it. They're starting to win a few games, and I know they don't look great in offense, but, you know, they're starting to win a few games.
Get a bit of the roll on, can't they? I mean, it's odd when you consider that. I mean, they were dead and buried, the Steelers, you know. Rookie quarterback was getting battered. He didn't have any sort of ability to throw. But, you know, it's the Steelers are the Steelers, right? They know, the organisation knows how to get there and what to do. So, and
that's it. And if they get in, they're dangerous. You know, that's the kind of team they are. Get in and they're dangerous.
I love the stat. I don't know if you guys saw it. There was a stat. I think it was on Good Morning Football or something about Deontay Johnson at the Steelers. He's caught over 100 passes. He's one of the only receiver. He's got over 100 targets.
10 passes he's caught with
no touchdowns. It's like nobody's ever done that.
It's somebody else with 40 catches and no touchdowns. Something like
that. It's crazy. I was just like, how can you have a stat like that? How can you not have made the end zone? But then, as you say, that's the offense has not been firing, but dink and dunk and short yardage and whatever else. But it's a crazy. I think it was on the fantasy show or something. I guess you must have saw the same thing, Johnny. It was like,
but I just saw a tweet about it. But you know, the Bengals have got the Browns this week, then they've got the Buccaneers, then the Patriots. So it's not bad defenses against them. And then they've got the Bills in week 17, and they finish off with the Ravens in week 18. So it's quite a tough.
Not an easy running, is it? It's not.
Yeah, I remember they've got some hard defense. So it's not going to be
and
easy.
And they've lost is Mixon out, or is he?
Well,
it was in.
He's running like a beast.
Yeah, it's concussion.
He'll be back. Pirine's running well.
Pirine he
what about the team? What about the team we've not mentioned? The Titans.
Dolphins. The Titans.
Oh God! No.
I don't know. They looked poor this week.
The Dolphins. The Titans.
Disappointing. Yeah. Disappointing against the Eagles.
Yeah. But
for me, Derrick Henry's just massive over there. You know, if he gets on the train and he's running hard, you know, not many defenses can stand up to him. And I know that they don't have a quarterback of sorts over there. You know, and Tannehill does okay, but he's not a Mahomes. He's not a Josh Allen. But it's, you know, they're just tidy, the Titans, and they'll hang about. As I say, once the playoffs start, they could give anyone a game.
Give everyone again. But
didn't Jalen Burks is still alive after that hit.
That was something.
But he'll not be playing this week after that.
No, he's got to be in the protocol surely with that hit. I mean, but as you say, they weren't.
Him and that boy hit him got was banned at least and bloody fine because that was awful.
That seemed a bit of it was almost a targeted sort of spear tackle near enough. It was
in the college that would have been targeting big still. That one
I haven't heard it, but you're right. I mean, the Titans, they're going to get in there.
They've got Jags twice, Chargers, Texans, and Cowboys. You know, they'll get enough wins out of that.
Division, so.
Well, I mean, they're going to win their division, isn't it? Who else can win their division? It's all about playoffs for them as well. The Colts.
Are they not second in the division?
They are. I think weirdly enough, they are. I think, and that's just.
Santa Claus Saturday rescue.
The Colts are 4-8-1. Jaguars are 4-8, but the Colts are in a bye week this week, so the Jaguars will jump above them probably. I don't know who the Jaguars playing this week.
Does it matter? They're going to lose it.
We're going to lose it, yeah. So the Titans are 7-5, aren't they? So they're pretty clear in there.
So they're going to be in for sure, you know, and they can.
The Jaguars are playing Tennessee this week, so yeah. That'd be interesting. But then, bear in mind, Henry's not done much the last couple of weeks. He's been catching the ball better than he's been running.
Yeah, he has been, but you know,
Derrick Henry's month, December and January. So
it usually is, isn't it? It's usually when he starts to just take the whole team on the back of his shoulders, isn't it? So right, let's go and make a run for it. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's going to have to, because Woods has done nothing since he's been there. So I thought he was going to do well there as well, but
I know they put Willis in against the Eagles towards the end, didn't they? They kind of put him in as throw him in. I think the game was done and dusted by then. They were never in it against the Eagles, which was a bit surprising, I thought.
That's right. Neither were we this week. So
the rookie tight end, he's been starting to get a few catches as well. Okanovo or something like that. But he's starting to get a few catches, and that's someone that defenses don't know much about or won't know much about. So it's, and we've not even mentioned the Jets or the Dolphins, who they're still kicking about. They're still
in the hunt, aren't they?
The Bills, yeah.
The Dolphins are still definitely in the wild cards, aren't they? I mean, they're top of the wild card pile. In the AFC. So the Jets are only one game back there as well. And Jets making the playoffs, I think they've got to give Salah a bit of a nod for coach of the year if he gets anywhere near the playoffs with the Jets, I think.
You would, between him and Carroll of Seattle get there, he should. The two of them have been fun, but I mean, Salah's done something. He really has done a good job there. That defense looks legit. It's the defense definitely looks like it's there, and they're so young as well. It's that thing. It's such a young team.
Maybe this Mike White is the answer. I mean, he seems to have gone in and.
But he did that last year. He did a couple of good games, and then he had a complete.
He got found out after that. That's the problem.
I think it was the first game.
Garrett Wilson has really talked him up.
Yeah.
146 yards here last week, and no touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, they're no mugs anymore. The Jets, they are right there, and it's just such a tough division. As I say, there are going to be teams the teams that kind of finish 8th and 9th, they are going to be very disappointed, and they're going to be looking over at the NFC and thinking, you know what?
Jesus, if we were in the other conference, we'd have been in the playoffs. We'd have been a home field advantage or something. Yeah,
I am gutted. So yeah, it's one of those tight ones, isn't it? Where everything's so close over there. But, that's the flip side of the NFL, and it will come back to the NFC again. In the next few years, there's going to be a lot of early picks,
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
most of them to Detroit. And most of them to Detroit,
yeah.
I mean, Detroit, so they're getting, the third pick this year, and Seattle are getting the third pick. It's like those two teams are picking up some really good quality stuff coming out of the draft, and it'll be interesting to see which way they go.
Given the fact that with the Lions as well, I mean, they are starting to put it together already, and again, they're very young, and they're going to have a couple of early picks. Dan Campbell, he's the type of coach that the players will run through walls for. So
people want to go to Detroit actually, rather than get drafted by Detroit and look for any way out. They'll actually may want to go there. So
and it makes such a difference.
To get Williams back in. So
I mean, when going back to Mayfield again, you could see the disappointment when he ended up in Cleveland. You could see he did not want to be there. Trevor Lawrence going to Jacksonville, he did not want to be there. But players will want to go to Detroit. They'll see what he will.
Detroit may be getting a third or fourth pick and have a legitimate shot at potentially a wild card. So they're almost a wild card team with the third or fourth pick in the draft. So someone's definitely going to, it just depends on what they go for, what they need. Do they stick with Goff? Do they shore up, their offense a bit more, get him a few more, a bit more protection? Or do they, their defense definitely porous, and they need to look on that side of the ball. I think it really all depends. And the same with the Seahawks, right? So the Seahawks kind of go, "Hey, Gino, you're our man," and they could trade out from where they are and get a bunch of picks. They could get a whole bunch of picks for their, in effect, third or fourth pick in the draft. I think is what they've got.
I can see them doing that actually. Yeah,
I can see them just going, "Hey, we've got pick 3. Yeah, we've got pick 3. Who wants a quarterback coming out of the caller?" And then you're going to look at, the Colts are going to trade up. A couple of teams will easily trade up for
Falcons will trade up.
Falcons will trade up because there's at least 2. I can count 3, maybe 4 decent QBs coming out. So there's at least the top 4. Some QB hungry teams will go in and get Stroud, or go in and get Williams, or go in and get Hooker out of Tennessee. QB team, if they're hungry for that, they'll trade up. So the Seahawks are sitting there going, "We've got the third. Who wants it? What are you going to give us for it?" They can just hawk that around and probably pick up, numerous picks late first, and that's all they need. You know, Pete Carroll's like, he can build a team out of anything. This year's proven it. He's got 6 rookies starters, and he's still in the hunt. I mean, they could be. You know, we thought this was going to be their rebuild year, but they could really, really make a big splash next year in the draft and be really rebuilding quite quickly, which is a pain in the bum.
Well, the other side of it as well, you know, they're sitting with a third or a fourth. You know, they could use that as capital to go and pick up a couple of real players. If they think, hang on a minute, we are only a couple of pieces short from making a big run again, why don't we splash this third rounder on a couple of players that might be able to, you know, establish and can get us there?
It's interesting.
You could fall into Will Anderson or something.
Yeah.
The Bama edge rusher, and you know that it's worrying. You know, we better go and win the ring this year, Gary.
Yeah, we have to. We've got a short window. We get it done now, we'll be fine. Got a couple. Win it this year, and we'll win it for the next 3 or 4.
Well, that's listen. The Niners are in their window. It's none of this rebuild. You know, the Niners have rebuilt now. You're in your window. You've had your early picks. You've got your Bosas. You've got your, you know, your Samuels. You've got your Kittles. You're ready to go. It's time to win.
You got to be in the championships. We've got to be in the hunt for the next couple of games, couple of years at least. Otherwise, it's another whiff and another missed opportunity, I think.
That's a bit of a shame though, because you're in your window and you come up against a Dallas team and an Eagles team looking good.
Inevitably in the same windows, right? It's almost you can guarantee that we'll be in the same window as Dallas, because the last time we were in the window, so were they. You know, it's almost like the swings and roundabouts will always come back round, and it's always the same teams coming back up at the same sort of time and going back down at the same sort of time. So yeah, you'd be right. You're coming up against an Eagles team.
Dallas don't worry me.
I think we can stop their offense. Their defense is real. Their defense worries me, because I think the defense is real.
Their offense. That message, okay. We'll pin that one, say that Dallas doesn't worry us. When if Dallas knock them out the playoffs, then they go, didn't worry you.
The Eagles concern me more than Dallas.
Well, they will do. They're ahead of Dallas.
Well, the Dallas defense is better. They can run against the Eagle defense, even with the 2 new signings. But the Dallas defense is better, like you say, but the offense is so much better for the Eagles. But the next matchup with their 2 games in a couple of weeks is going to be a really good one.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Hopefully they batter each other silly, and then, you know.
Yeah, I'll be watching it with no volume. I can't listen to any praise for either team, like, but I'll watch it
on silent with Talk Sport Radio on or something, and something completely different. Yeah.
But I mean, I've had like 20 odd years of being in the window, you know, and we've had 2 lousy Super Bowls for it. And I've 20 odd years of being in the window. I'm actually looking forward. I'm not even being funny. I am looking forward to having a couple of years I can just sit back and laugh at other teams, because I am sick to the back teeth.
Sick of being that team.
Man on the bottom left, that right hand corner here. I'm sick of the back teeth. I've never spoke to him in March or April yet. It's been like 10 years I've spoke to him in March or April. I don't start speaking to him again until May.
Well, in fairness,
years of mediocrity.
What Craig did to Sam, we've had to do that to Craig a couple of times in January, send somebody around the house to make sure he's all alive.
Just make sure he's all right, yeah. Especially after some of those Lambo games.
2 weeks, like.
You know,
it's like, Craig, you could join Johnny in that sort of happy middle ground of mediocrity that, you know, you never get too optimistic, you never get too happy, you know what's coming.
In fairness,
you can laugh at everybody else.
I'd have a lot more hairs on this head, I'll tell you, if you weren't in the window for the last 20 years, I tell you.
It's true, Johnny. As you say,
we have won 2 Super Bowls being mediocre, so we can't really.
Well, as we said before, as Craig says, you know, you have years and years of nothingness, and then you have 1 year where you go and win it all, and then you have years and years of nothingness, and then somehow it all comes together, and you go and win it all again. Yeah, you're due one though, aren't you? Now I suppose it's every.
You're due one, yeah.
You know, yeah. It's been 10 years now, 12 years. 2011 was it?
Yeah. 11 years. 11 years this year.
The year we went 15-1, losing away to Kansas in a game that we didn't want to win anyway, and then you came marching into Lambeau in first round when we are nailed on absolutely certain
nailed on certs for the Super Bowl, and what happens? Not that he's bitter about that at all.
Was that the same year we went to Candlestick and won there too? Or was that the other one?
That was the one. Was that the one? That, that's the. No, we don't talk about
fumble
that. The three-peat.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Then obviously the first one we won there with the Patriots unbeaten, and they beat us in week 17, 38-35, and it was a last-minute touchdown, and they had nothing to play for apart from being unbeaten. And then obviously that crazy catch after somehow not getting sacked when you had 4 players hanging on his ankles.
Yeah, that's the Manning throw. I mean, it was Peyton Manning. Eli Manning. He just decided to turn up in Super Bowls, didn't he? It was rubbish for.
It was the same in the second one when he threw that ball to Manningham on the touchline, and you had to waste the time out by challenging the play, but you never got. They were way back in the 2-yard line, I think, when he threw that gun. It's just like crazy. But,
we are in that period right now where the NFC is so poor that the team who wins it going to the Super Bowl, at least they're not beaten up, and that you see them winning quite often that way, they're not beaten up. I still say that's the reason the Patriots got so, they were
so dominant, so won, because they sailed through the AFC, didn't they? And it was just like,
and then whoever they ran into from the NFC was beaten up to the max, and they were absolutely run over in the Super Bowl. And the Patriots are brilliant. They were the best of a bad bunch, but we might see that over here now, and we're starting to see that in the NFC.
I think it is that it's the best of the bad bunch of the NFC this year, isn't it? Because the NFC has been poor. You look at the NFC South, and nobody wants to win that. All those teams look dreadful.
They really do, awful. I mean, to an extent, it's been, even last year, the Rams were kind of, they snuck their way through, got into the Super Bowl. They were a lot fresher than the Bengals, who had to go through Tennessee, who had to go through, Kansas, and it's, and then they walk into that one, and they're a bit beaten up, they're a bit done, and the Rams end up running away with the title, and that's kind of the way it goes quite often.
Yeah, it didn't hurt. It didn't help, or didn't hurt the Rams that they were playing at home as well.
No, that's it. Well, makes a big difference playing at home. Just the simple fact of going to your own bed at night.
Yeah, the logistics of it, rather than the actual home field advantage, because they don't have that at SoFi. But they can go home. They can live. As you say, they don't have to travel across, live in a hotel or whatever else. It's just those small things. Yeah.
They're not missing their family. They're not missing kids' schools and kids' birthday, and they're there. It makes such a difference.
Yeah, that 2-week window of into the Super Bowl. If you could escape and go back to the normal, your house and whatever else, rather than being flown out and halfway across the country. It's a small thing that probably does add up.
Absolutely. And I mean, you see Tampa as well. Tampa won at home as well. When they got it at home, they were at home when they won theirs. It's massive.
At least they broke the streak this year, because there's no way that Arizona are winning it. Does that mean Vegas are in a shoe in for next year then?
Oh, let's hope not.
The
last thing I need is Devontae Adams winning a ring in Vegas. I'm not even being funny.
That would be worth it.
Well, I'm not sure. Even I don't even think it would be. No, the Raiders winning at home it would be dreadful for so many reasons.
Yeah.
It just even if it just for Craig, the plus point of watching Craig squirm because Devontae Adams goes and wins a ring isn't worth the Raiders fans.
I don't know. He has been pretty sickening over the years, so again, it might be worth it.
You guys have known him longer, yeah.
It's good to see where the line is.
Yeah, I still remember the night in Kirkwall, Craig Pish saying how bad Aaron Rodgers was.
I was right.
Complaining how
2 weeks ago, then.
Crap he was. No, that season he went on to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, right. So he knows how to call. He knows how to call them.
He was that loud. Even the waiter was telling him to shut up.
But that's standard though for Craig.
That'd be because of the curry. I'm not too sure, but yes. Was that the year you knocked yourself out the golf ball?
No, that was way before that.
That's a story for next week. That's a story for next week.
Well, let's move on.
It'll be quiet next week. We'll bring that one up. We'll bring the golfing up next week. Gents, it's been a laugh. That'd be our. Appreciate you guys jumping.
Well, I'll
on
be quiet
board.
because we're going to get hammered off the Eagles. So
You're gonna be nursing a few wounds, I think, after the visit of the Eagles. Although it is at home, so you never know. I'm trying to look for a silver line.
The one that run for 400 yards against us and throw the ball twice.
You're not wearing your horrible two-tone blue uniform again this week, are you? Because that messed with my eyes with the retro helmet and the wrong blue. It's just like, get the same blue, for crying out loud.
I know. It'd be nice to have the old helmets. That would have been quite cool.
The old helmets, yes, but not the old helmets with the wrong.
Yeah, it didn't look right.
Yeah, but
anyhow,
never mind.
Gents, been great, been real. Cool. Doug, hold on to your hats for the roller coaster that is going to be the Brock Express.
Absolutely.
Enjoy your bye week, Craig. I'm sure you will, because you can watch. You can enjoy it from the sidelines and watch everyone else flounder around and see where everything pans out. But I think it's safe to say the Vikings are. Do you reckon the Vikings are sealing up the North this week against the? They got the Lions, right? So if they win the Lions, then they've clinched that division.
That could have been a shootout. That one, like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it will be. I'm sure it'll be like 45-42 because the Lions have been in and about all the games, haven't they? But they just don't have the defense to stop other people scoring on them, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a Vikings division this year, that's for sure.
But you hated that, Craig.
Every single word was like knives, wasn't it?
It could have been worse. It could have been the other lot.
Could have been the Bears. It could have been the Bears.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, probably.
I know Craig says he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind a few years of not being successful, but I think he's still
next year is Rodgers' swan song, and we're going to win the Super Bowl.
I thought you called it this year, but anyway.
Right, we'll have enough of picking on Craig for next week.
Got to be right 1 year.
1 year it will come true 1 year. Gents, appreciate your time. Lovely talking to you. We'll catch up again soon.
Yeah.
See you later. Cheers.
Take it easy. Good night all.